it's not uncommon that I'm going in the living room and having a dance break with the kids. It's not uncommon that I'm going out and giving my wife a break and going to do dishes. It's not uncommon I go take out the trash. It's not uncommon I go check the mail. It's not uncommon that like me and my 7-year-old son are wrestling throughout the day. So like I get all those little random breaks throughout the day and before the day, and then I used to say, all right, I'm gonna eat my lunch real quick at the desk, right?
My man is about to celebrate 8 years of marriage, and him and his wife have 4 beautiful children, and he is absolutely crushing it in tech sales. The insight that Charles is about to give us on what it's like to work in tech sales, what it takes to work in tech sales, and how to enjoy your family while doing it is going to stick with us for years to come. My guess is that many of you watching this video will view from start to finish, but if for some reason you are only looking for something specific, then the timestamps are in the description. Enjoy. Why did you choose tech sales?
That's a good question. So to try not to be cliche, but to be cliche, as I said, I didn't choose tech sales. Tech sales chose me, right?
Right.
Right. Like I really didn't know what it was. And I think that's a challenge for many people who look like me, but just in general who are out there who have a tremendous amount of skill set, but just don't know that there's something like this exists. And I say that because I'm 31 right now, and I came out of college. I played college football. That paid for the majority of my school. But I'm looking at my college today, and it's $75,000 per year today, 2023. So for me to afford to send my kids there, all 4 of my kids, that'd be $1.2 million. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what I do today, what did it necessitate a 4-year degree? Now, not everybody's going to like this, but I don't think it did. I think I could have done or learned, been taught, and been trained to do what I'm doing today at 18, right? Because sales is such a skill where you are learning by doing. You're learning by observing. And that's not something that you need a 4-year degree for, in my opinion, which not everybody agree with that. So I wish that I would have just known that exists, because not only is sales one of the things that you learn by doing and observing, but the earlier you start just by necessitation, the higher you go. There's not a lot of plateaus or ceilings you have with sales. Most sales is unlimited commission. The better you get at it, somebody's willing to pay you for it. So if you can start at 18, as opposed to when I started in 2019, so 27, you just higher and higher on that ability. So I kind of, in my opinion, I feel like I wasted like 9 years, doing all the different jobs, right? Where I could have really learned in and out how to be a professional seller, how I can do my job well. And so I kind of popped into sales in that I knew that I had a business degree. So I was like, oh, that kind of feels like sales. And as you can see, I can talk. So in my mind, I just thought, okay, business degree, and I don't mind talking. Maybe I should try sales. And then that took me on a rabbit trail to what I am today, where I started trying and doing things and figuring out, oh, I don't like this and I don't like that, but I do like this. And that's how I landed in tech sales.
Wow. Amazing. So you just said a mouthful, right? And we're going to dive further into that.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let me pause and ask you about your family, Charles. So tell us more. So you're 31.
Yep.
Let us know about marriage, how many years, children.
Yeah.
What type of family you over there contributing to supporting?
Yeah. So actually, in 7 days, literally, it's going to be my 8-year anniversary.
Incredible, man.
Yeah. So been a blessing. Married for my wife almost 8 years. We her name is Arlene, and she graduated from UCLA, way smarter than me. I played football in college, which means that low key football got me into school. I ain't gonna lie about it. I'm gonna tell how it is. She just a true student in the UCLA, graduated with a psychology degree, and when she graduated, she was thinking about going into teaching. Now, for teaching, because she was a little behind the 8 ball, she had to go to further school, which is going to cost her another $100,000 to get her credential. She decided, hey, I don't want to go get into more debt. So she basically did substitute teaching. Once she did substitute teaching, we got pregnant early. Like after a year after marriage. So she decided, hey, I want to stay home with the kids. And I want to hammer on that a little bit because and this is a segue to my kids. Like I have a oldest boy, Levi, 7. My daughter, Karis, she's 5. My third daughter, Selah, she's 3. And then my youngest, Judah, he's 1. Now, my wife homeschools all my kids. And sometimes there's an inkling, often unsaid, that if the mom stays home, that she's somehow inept or not as good as her job. First off, I'm watching her homeschool my 2 oldest today, first grade and kindergarten.
Yeah.
And that job is at least 3 times harder than what I do today. And it's a decision that she made. She said, hey, I have my degree, but I'm not going to let somebody else be in charge of the raising of my kids. So whether you know it or not, parents, when you send your kids off to school, like there's a part of that you give away. And not everybody feel like they position to actually go and homeschool. Like for us, it's a sacrifice because you got one income, right? I got one income in Southern California, and gas ain't cheap, right?
Come on, man.
Right. But that's a decision that we made as a family. But I will tell you this, like as a family, there's nothing harder than what my wife is doing. And I think sometimes people make the assumption that to like hold it down at the house and like just homeschool is a full-time job. Like for you to go and teach, like grammar, like do you remember how you learn how to read and learn how to write and learn how to do math? Yeah. So that's what my wife does right now. Very talented, very bright individual. And I see a little bit of my wife and my daughter. My daughter's 5, and my son's 7. Now, my daughter is basically teaching herself how to read. My son, I can't get that boy to read at all. He's 7. He's got all me in him, right? Where you gotta like force that dude to go sit down and read a book. Where my 5-year-old, she's literally out there standing out, learning how to read in an accelerated process. Because she's a student. Where I was okay at school, but I didn't love school. Like it was a means to an end. I learned. My mom basically told me that if I couldn't play football if I didn't do school, and I learned how to play the game. But my wife actually enjoyed school.
Yeah. Charles, you like tripping me out, man. So what you're saying? So you just said a lot, right? Mm-hmm. It sounds like, and honestly, man, I feel like I can speak for a lot of families. It sounds like you're living a life that a lot of people would actually aspire to live. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of we have 3 children. Our 4th is due in October.
Hey.
My wife, man, to this day, she battles with if she should just stay home and homeschool them, right? Part of what was so appealing to her when she was entering into the tech industry, she works in tech sales, was the fact that she was at home for 2 years with 1 or 2 of our kids. And that was, she sold herself on the job that she landed in tech sales from her ability to raise and develop children at home, right? And then for you to support your family off of 1 income in the location that you're in, to be married 8 years, man, coming up, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you 31. Come on, man. That's, it seemed like it's definitely something to your background, right? I know it's something to my background. I know it's something that helps me heavily, by grace. I'm gonna be married 10 years.
Amen.
Well, I am married 10 years now. July has passed. I'm
hey,
married.
Let's go. Congrats, bro.
Yeah, man. Thank you. And I'm 35. So let me segue into this. How did your background play a role in your success as a husband, father, and sales professional?
I love it. Yeah, great question. So I think the background, I grew up like in the Wild Wild West, low key. So I 1 of 5, second youngest. Grew up in San Diego, Southeast San Diego. So most of the males in my family were gang related in some capacity. Now,
Wow.
God was real gracious with me because I remember I like to this day, 8 years old, I said to myself, I don't know why I did, but I did. Hey, I can't be in gangs or do drugs, so I'm gonna go to the league, NFL. That was like in my
Wow.
mindset. Now, I, I'm not on MTV's Cribs right now, so I didn't go to the league, but that thought process really kept me grounded, right? It really steered me in the right direction as I grew up, and there were kind of different decisions that were available, accessible to me that could have really took me into some really bad spots.
Mm.
So for me, football pretty much at every avenue, every part of my life opened up a door for me. Middle school, high school, I went to a private school. College, I got my school paid for. Open up opportunities for me all throughout the way. And for me, although I will say I don't think college is an end all be all, college does open up doors.
Hmm.
And the challenge for me with college is are those doors worth the 300 G's that many colleges are paid for, right? Because in my mind, college is really a really expensive networking platform. That's what it really is.
Wow.
My wife at UCLA, me at Bucknell, you're really paying to really meet different people in different avenues, and typically those individuals will help you get to different spots down the road. Even for me, for selling into different accounts, I still meet alumni to this day that open up introductions, and that's a treasured value. But the challenge again is like, is it worth 300 G's? And that's something I'm not fully willing to commit to. That's worth that. But that background helped me to really understand that, hey, most of the hard that I experienced today, growing up in the household I grew up in, growing up around gangs and drugs, growing up around dysfunction, most of the hard I experienced on the sales floor, so to speak, is easy compared to what God already put me through today. Like most of that, like what is a no to me? Like what is like, hey, like I don't not right now. Like that doesn't, who cares? Um, because I already learned how to survive. I already learned how to overcome through just like a natural necessity. I already learned how to continue to endure during hard situations. And I think ultimately, Angela Duckworth, all these popular like cliches these days about grit, but that's what sales is in some capacity. Can you continue to do your job in an environment where people are extremely prone to tell you no? Can you do that? And that might be internally, where you are asking for favors and things to be done internally at your job, or
Wow.
externally to the prospects that you reach out to. Can you do that? All the other stuff it can be taught. I can teach you how tonality. I can teach you what to say and what not to say in the intro. I can teach you how to present your value proposition as it relates to the industry that you're in. I can teach you all that other stuff. I can teach you um, um, how to follow up. But what I can't teach you is grit, and what I can't teach you is how to work hard. That's the stuff, especially in a remote environment. That's difficult because who knows if my man is watching, ESPN, working hard. Like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And that's a real challenge. So I think to some capacity that helped me in my actual job. For me personally, I became a believer, and that really helped me in my personal life, because, and I think why this is important, because I think your personal life will affect your professional life. And so when my personal life is locked down, then generally I perform better in my professional life.
Mm.
Uh, and so I come from a family with, single mom after single mom after single mom, that in and out of the situation. So for most of my family members, being a married to one woman for this time is just weird. Like no one does it. Most are out of wedlock. Most are a bunch of different baby daddies. Most are like the prototypical cliches you see. But for
Mhm.
me, it was very important to be involved in my son's life, my daughter's life. Like I knew that wasn't something that I had. My dad was in and out of my life, and I was like, what I want to do, if I want to be a dad, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to be involved. And they're gonna be like they're gonna kill it at anything they do way better than me because I'm gonna be there. Like I was able to do this with just a mom. She was killing it. Mom and dad in here doing it together, bro. They can do whatever they want. The sky is the limit when you got two parents in the household that are making sure that these kids can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of kids are successful with just one mom, one dad, a grandma. Imagine if both out there on the same page and saying, yo, we are here for the success of our kid mentally, spiritually, emotionally, materially. We're here for the success for our kids.
Charles, man, do you like put out content or something, man? You do like mentoring? I'm for real, man. You do you at
Yeah,
all?
yeah. So I mentor on to some capacity when people reach out to me. There's my boy runs a platform called Jobski, and Jobski like connects mentors and mentees together. So people reach out to me regarding that. You've
Okay,
probably
yeah.
seen it. My boy Robert
Yeah,
puts
yeah,
it
yeah,
on.
yeah, 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 yeah. Okay.
And so to some capacity, I do that. I mentor the youth out here where I'm at, like personally, and then I'm always an open book. So anyone ever reaches out to me, like anything I'll help them that. And then obviously I post content. I post content every single day on LinkedIn for the last year. Every single day, Monday to Sunday,
Okay.
I'm posting something. So
Okay.
my wife would tell you I always got something to say.
Yeah, man. Nah, for sure. And yeah, you already know information gonna be in the description. There we go. No, man, what you're saying is, gosh, man, it's awesome. All right, I'm gonna segue right into the next one.
Yes, sir.
We know how a person becomes a professional as a doctor, lawyer, and pro athlete. How does a person become a professional in sales?
Mm. I think they're very related. Now, for some people, it's gonna lose some points, but I just started playing pickleball. Right, pickleball is low key an old person sport, like it really is. But what you'll find in pickleball is anyone can get out there and do some stuff like kind of good, but to be consistent, you have to go and practice over and over and over. Now, pickleball is a little bit irritating because it's similar to golf in that you need to be under control. You need to have the right mindset. You need to be able to do hard things under duress with a calm demeanor. That's golf. Like the harder that you try in golf, the more you shank the actual balls, which gets irritating. Whereas like football and maybe like soccer, basketball, those kind of sports, the harder you try, the more mad you get. You may do a little better, right? Somebody foul you in basketball, you might start playing better because you got a chip on your shoulder. You can kind of get a little bit upset. Whereas in pickleball, golf kind of sports, those are a little bit difficult. And I'm learning like just like on the professional side and the personal side, you need to. Or sorry, on the personal side, just like on a personal side and the professional side, you need to do the same thing over and over and over. So if you're remote, you are twice as hard as everyone in the office. Like no one wants to tell you this. No one wants to believe this. But if you are not in the office, you have a different. You possibly could have a different routine every single day. Now, what you learn from the kids, our kids thrive in routine. When that routine is off, like World War III, that kid misses a nap. That kid is ready to throw hands, right?
Yes.
They're ready. So they thrive on a routine, and we're no different. Now that routine may be chaos, but that's still a routine. So when you're not at the office, you need to figure out what is my routine to some kind of like loose lens. Like right when the pandemic started, I actually had like a from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. like an actual loose schedule that I was holding myself to. Even if that schedule meant like, hey, 1 to 3 prospecting, 7 to 8 check emails, get back on past emails, but some kind of loose schedule because at the office you kind of have that skeleton schedule a little bit already. But at home, you could be doing errands. You might go shoot some hoops. You might go do a run, and what you're going to end up doing, because you're human, is that you're going to do things that you really like and probably avoid things you don't like that much. That's just that's a natural tendency. Now at the office, you low key have a little bit of accountability because you know people are around you. You know that people are going to kind of know what you're doing. you got all the freedom in the world. And the human tendency, especially in sales, because there's some things that are hard, some things you don't like. That may be cold calling, that may not be. But whatever those things you don't like, they probably come right to your mind. You got to figure out, okay, in my schedule, I got to put it in there because if I don't, I'm probably not going to do it. And the only way you become a professional is that you have a consistency that says that every day Charles is going to show up and do X, Y, or Z. Because I know X, Y, or Z is going to give me the results that I actually want. Because all sales is that input, I put this in there, I put this in there, I put this in there. And eventually, because I know the process, it's going to actually give me the outcome or the results that I want. That's all professionals. Professionals aren't sexy. It's not like exciting. It's nothing new. It's just like, can you do the same thing? Can you pick up that rock, put it on the other side? Can you pick up that rock, put it on the other side over and over and over? And the people who do that are the people who are successful, like extremely boring. Sometimes you might walk in the office, they may not have the flashiest like stuff, just extremely boring on the exterior, but they know how to do the same thing over. They're experts at it, whether that's emailing out, cold calling, whether that's follow up, little small stuff. Like you would not believe how many people drop the ball on just follow ups alone. Like they told someone they were going to call them or reach back out to regarding their decision, and they just forgot because they're not doing the small things like putting that in your calendar, putting that in your CRM, whatever that might be, to ensure that you're doing your job and you're boringly doing that job. Like you are so consistent that they know Charles is going to be here at 6 a.m. no matter what, because that's what that dude does. That's all he does. Like he's ready for that. And I promise you, if you become a professional, you will make that money. The money will follow you being extremely consistent at the boring stuff.
Oh,
Let's get it.
yes, man, it's good. You helping me, man. See, you saying some of the stuff. I got to become more consistent.
Yeah.
That's it, man. I'm telling you, that's it. And literally, I had a meeting with my manager last week, and I'm doing like really well this month. And like I don't even know, but like I'm newer to account executive. I
Mm-hmm.
started it in May. Long
Congrats, man.
story, yeah, thank you, man. Long story short, I'm having a really good month, right? So my manager is like, so so like, what's going on? Like what changed? What's the difference? And I was like, it's my routine. And I told her that I'm more systematic now. Like I have a more of a structure when I come into the office. I'm going through the same format of not moving on to the next thing until this is done, right? Don't check the email until the to-do list done, clean the pipeline, and then I move on to what's next. So thank you, Charles. This
No,
is so
no.
good, man.
Well, congrats, and I think you're a testament. I think that's the hard part. And
Yeah.
you said you're going into the office.
No, I'm remote, man.
Oh, you're remote.
I'm
Yeah.
fully remote.
Okay. Yeah. So going to your own like personal office. I think like that routine,
Yeah.
got remote is so hard because it's so different.
Yeah.
It changes every
Yeah.
time. Changes every time.
No, that's good, man. So look, perfect segue. Next question. Describe your schedule for a typical weekday/weekend. Are people really landing jobs like that in tech sales after going through course careers? Well, quite a few. But before you dive all the way in, just check out their free course on their website. And if for some reason the course is not for you, there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. And be sure to save yourself $50 by using the link in the description. Back to the video.
Okay. So typical weekday is I'm getting up around 6:30. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's because my kids are up, right? So if
Right.
anyone is a parent, you just know kid has to do this, that, and you just making sure that they're good. So
Yeah.
you're up already.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get a workout in to some capacity. So
Okay.
from 6:30 to like 8, I'm trying to get some kind of workout in. That's a mile run, play some pickleball, play some basketball, do a little like kind of CrossFit type workout. Trying to get a little workout in the morning.
Okay.
Once I get that, now it's emails. It's generally my in the morning 8 to 9 as I'm waking up. Emails. After that, I might have some calls. So that next block might be company calls, internally, externally, prospect calls in there. But I'm trying to, no matter what, have like a block out for either outside prospecting, or I'm in a company where it's not uncommon to try to further penetrate an account that we already have.
Okay.
So it may be that hour is like, hey, like for today, it was like an hour and a half of account planning. So I have two big accounts that one I have no presence on that account. One I have very small presence on the account. And all
Okay.
I'm trying to do is map out that account. Who's who in the zoo on that account? Who do I need to talk to? Who I have a relationship with? Who I don't? Who do I have at the company? Do we actually have a connection with? Do we have a connection with the CFO because he used to work at our company? Just trying to map all that out. What has been spoken about? What hasn't been spoken out? So I can look at almost like those detective movies where
Wow.
they got all those little like pins on there, and you're just
Yeah.
trying to figure out like I want to see this account, and now I can see this account all laid out. Now I can have a strategy. Um, and so once I lay out the account, then now that's going to be actual prospecting, almost like you're prospecting to a new company because some of the companies are so big that it's almost like a new company because they don't really even talk and they're remote, so they're all
Yeah.
siloed, and because they're
Yeah.
all siloed, like they don't really communicate, they don't rub shoulders with one another. So I'm having to block out to that regardless. Then I'm having a at the end of the day, like or sorry, the middle of the day lunch. For me, I generally have lunch at my desk. I'm gonna be honest. And in between the day, and it's one of the reasons why I'll tell you why I have lunch at my desk. Cause in between the day, like it's not uncommon that I'm going in the living room and having a dance break with the kids. It's not uncommon that I'm going out and giving my wife a break and going to do dishes. It's not uncommon I go take out the trash. It's not uncommon I go check the mail. It's not uncommon that like me and my 7-year-old son are wrestling throughout the day. So like I get all those little random breaks throughout the day and before the day, and then I usually say, all right, I'm gonna eat my lunch real quick at the desk, right? And then after lunch, maybe have a meeting or two in there. And I'm trying to close out the day, finishing up emails, and then trying to prepare for the next day if I can. Like best case scenario, I have an idea of what my schedule looks like for the next day as far as meetings go. What am I trying to tee up for the next day as far as prospecting, who I'm going to reach out to, what am I going to say, that kind of messaging, and then
Mm.
just clean up the CRM. Which sometimes for me at the end of the day, maybe push back. It might be, hey, maybe we're watching, Bel Air, and maybe I'm cleaning up the CRM while I'm watching, like and making sure, hey, this needs to be updated. This were notes from today. Just clean up little small stuff like that throughout the day, because that's all not mindless work, but not work that requires my full attention. It's just little small kind of details that I can kind of do in the passing time. So that's my typical weekday
Wow.
in there. And for me, I'm trying to do a lot of like prospect and stuff like that, like CRM. That's kind of stuff I sometimes I do like when I'm watching Netflix. Like I'm watching something, like I'm just doing little small emails on LinkedIn, little small content creation on LinkedIn. I have a scheduler on my LinkedIn, so I'm usually like scheduling out my content. If I'm not like very organized, like right now, I've been behind the eight ball. So like I've been like posting my or coming up with my content like the night before this. Usually I'm like a month out. I have like 20 posts created, but they're kind of posts that I want to set out for certain like dates. So I usually do
Wow.
that the night before. I usually have an idea. So I'll think about, oh, I saw this, saw that, and I'll just put it all in gibberish in the content creation. Then I'll massage it out so it's legible to out the outside world. And then on the weekend, Friday night, we usually we're getting into football season. So I got a 7-year-old. So he's about to play. He's gonna be in two teams at the
Oh.
same time. Which my wife is like, "What can we do?" I'm like, "This dude needs. I always call it like more reps. He needs more reps. He needs to understand the game. He's not a point inside the game. So let's give him one season where he's just going to be entrenched in it, which means I'm coaching both. I always coach both. So which would mean that my schedule is gonna look a little bit different on a weekday now too. I probably will be busy most days from 5 to 8, 6 to 8, most
Oh.
of those days coaching for my kids, for my oldest son. So we'll be doing that on a weekend. He'll He'll have games on Friday nights. He'll have games on Saturday morning. And then the rest of the day, like I'm responding to LinkedIn. Like if I have a big account, to me, they respond to me Monday morning or Sunday morning. If I have service, I'm probably gonna respond to oh boy, like it's money in my pocket. So if you telling me like I don't really have, I think the benefit of sales is that you can have the flexibility of schedule where I can work or take a break whenever necessary. But if money is knocking on my door, best believe I'm going to answer.
Right.
So if I have availability, there are sometimes like I intentionally take vacations where I don't have signal because I know who I am and I know that if I did have signal, I would answer that call. But if I have signal, best believe no matter what time of day, no matter what vacation is on, like I'm gonna try to answer that because that's money. That's more opportunity for us to do what we want. But Friday nights we're gonna have a game. Saturday mornings we're probably gonna have a game. The rest of the day is like pool, hanging out with the kids, like fighting, maybe playing some little sports. Fighting meaning like wrestling with the kids. We ain't actually throwing hands with the clubs, but and that it's usually the weekends are for the kids, hanging out with other family and friends. But that's what we're doing Sunday, church, doing something like that, picnic, that kind of stuff. But for me, I'm trying to spend as much time with the kids as I can. And right now, like we're in the fall, thick of it. So football is just about to get started. My daughter's about to be thinking about playing basketball. My youngest two aren't in sports yet, but fall, winter, spring is sports season, and
Uh-huh.
I'm so opinionated as you can see. So I want to coach everything. I was coaching my son's soccer. Don't know nothing about soccer, but I'm out there. I told the parents, hey, if you see me do something wrong, I'm probably doing something wrong. Just let me know. And I'm volunteering, so don't be too mean. Like for me, I want to be involved.
Wow.
That gives me more opportunities to have one-on-one opportunities with my son, more opportunities to have one-on-one opportunities with my daughter. My wife coached my daughter's team. So for me, the weekends are going to be about the kids, and then every now and then we get a little vacay and say, hey, it's just me and the wife,
Mm.
and we kind of do that. That's a little bit about that.
Man, you tripping me out, man. That's dang, man. I need to get more organized, Charles. I'm like, listen, bro, I don't know how you fit all of that in, man. Hey, look, and here's a quick one I didn't mention earlier. My oldest son, his middle name is Levi.
Oh, okay, I love it.
He's
I love it.
7.
Oh, okay, I
So
love it.
yeah,
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 yeah.
Jackson Levi, man.
Okay, I love it. I love it.
All right, so check this out. Perfect segue again.
Yeah.
Next question. What is your secret to maintaining a healthy work-life balance? What's the secret?
Uh Again, maybe unpopular take. I don't think that exists. Um
Mm,
for me, uh I'm working when I'm working, and I'm enjoying life when I'm enjoying life. And if
wow.
you enjoy what you do, it's not a big deal to be like, man, I had an email pop in. Let me respond to it real quick.
Mm,
To me personally, I just know that in sales, as opposed to like a job where you're going to be clocking in, clocking out, my job is to bring in revenue as much as possible. And so I'm going to work to bring in revenue. If that means that like I might have to respond to an email at 10 p.m. and also respond to email at 5 a.m., but I also may have an hour break in the middle of the day or whatever it might be, then so be it. But I'm gonna keep working hard because sales is one of the few jobs that you're gonna get maybe is a one-to-one correlation as to the work you put in, the return you get. A lot of jobs you can put in a lot of work and you and your peers are just gonna get paid the same.
yeah,
It's very rare that you can have a job where you can kind of go in there and say, I can put in this work and I'm going to get this return. So for
yeah,
me, like work life balance is like, hey, I'm always working. It is what it is, and that might be like sometimes I'm working less, but I'm
yeah,
always working. Why? Because sales will pay you for that,
yeah,
right? A lot of
yeah,
jobs that you always working and they will not pay you for that, but sales will absolutely reward you
yeah,
the more you work. And for me, that's worth it.
yeah,
And so I always do that.
yeah. No, man. All right, so that's good. And you're helping me. Like you're bringing more clarity for my frame of thought, because so I'm in sales, but then my wife and I, we obviously run a business. We're content creators, right? So essentially, like, I'm always working too, right? So like the way that you answered that, in the way that you view the work-life balance of, hey, I'm enjoying it. Work is a part of my life, and that's okay. I don't have to look at me working in the evening at times as something negative. It's a part of my time, but you're also allotting time to your family as well. And that's kind of in the gist of how I conduct myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a borderline, I guess you can call me kind of a workaholic.
Yep.
I'm, around the clock, right? All
Yep.
the time.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I make sure that I'm looking to give allotment to my family at times too, to where, I don't have my phone in my hand, right? For those times. So that's good, man. All right. So next question. What advice do you have for someone who is struggling in their tech sales role?
Yeah, funny enough, I actually just made a post about this. Um, and basically, I said something along the lines like, "Hey, when I first uh, started working in sales, um, especially remote, I didn't know when to ask for help, and as a result, I never really did ask for help. And I think remote life is a little bit challenging because it used to be when you're in the office, you just go to your peer who is looking right to the left of you or right of you and say, "What are you doing?" Um, so you need to figure out like who to go to, right? So you need people like your boss. Like you need to know when to go to your boss. Is it something that they have to get involved? You don't want to get them involved in all things because they might think you're incompetent, right? But you need to figure out okay when to go, and then you got to find a couple boys who you can go to for anything. Like just little basic stuff like, hey, like I forgot to log the opportunity in Salesforce. Can you help me out? Because
Yeah,
I'm struggling out here.
yeah,
All basic stuff. But if you go to your boss about that, they might be like, yo, like, what are you doing? Like, you should know how to log that. But little small stuff like that. But ask for help because someone has already done it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, and that's going to expedite your process. So if you're failing right now, take a step back and start looking at, okay, well, um, am I asking for help?
yeah,
Right? That might look like for your boss though, if you're like in a role where you are doing really poorly, you may be on a PIP, something like that. You may need to go to them and show the initiative and say, "Hey, I know I'm struggling with X, Y, or Z. Can you help me?" They might say, "Okay, this person is showing initiative, and I'm going to actually give them the support that they need," or they may not. But if you know you're doing bad, there's a good chance that they know you're doing bad, and it's probably better to get that out of the air, right? And then
yeah,
go to them, and they may show you with a mentor. Now, if they don't really respond positively, the next thing I would do, if you're struggling in your role right now, it might be helpful to go find someone who's doing a really good job in your role. Now, the reason why that's beneficial is because they can go and look at what you're doing and say, "Oh, maybe you're missing something here." That's important because they're selling the same thing you're selling to the same people you're selling, and they probably are reporting to the same manager that you're reporting to. And what they can kind of do in that instance is they can help you tweak some of the aspects that you're currently doing. Now it might just be like as Justin alluded to earlier in the day, it just might be as basic as routine. Like if you actually figure out, hey, one of the reasons why I'm struggling is because I haven't called nobody in weeks. Like one of the things I'm struggling because I'm starting work at 7 a.m. some days and 12 p.m. some other days. Like it
mm,
may just be that you're just inconsistent, and it just might be helpful for you to step back and say, "All right, I'm going to hold myself to a schedule for 6 weeks. This
wow,
schedule right here. I'm going to put it down right here from 7 to 3. You want to earn brownie points if you're already struggling. Send that schedule to your manager. Why? Because if you're not doing a good job, even if you are doing a good job, I promise you, your manager is wondering, are you doing your work at home? They're wondering that. Now they're letting you work remote because they have to, but I promise you, most of them cats are like, "Yo, I hope this dude is doing his work because we paying him for this." And so anything that you
wow,
can do to ease that sense of fear is always beneficial. So that fear is less so when you actually bringing in the revenue and you hitting your goals, whatever those metrics are. But I promise you, when those are not being hit, cats are like, "Yo, my man's at the beach. My man's out here at the club. My man's out here doing something crazy, and we paying him for it." And so anything you can do to ease that sentiment and get ahead of it is going to be helpful, because you have people who are humans. And as humans, it's typical for us to think the worst, to be very critical. And you
Yeah.
want to make sure that you never have your manager think that you are being lazy, not doing your job. Because if they think that, they're going to be less inclined to give you the benefit of doubt. And you want to give them every reason to give you the benefit of doubt whenever you're struggling. Because sometimes it's just a matter of you just struggling, like cats ain't buying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to say, "Oh, I'm doing everything impossible to make sure I'm putting myself in a good position," because you can't control whether or not people buy. But you, if they think that you just lazy, that's the end right there.
Bro, this one, Charles, this one here gonna be one for some years to come, brother.
Yes,
The
sir.
power of media. I'm glad
Yeah,
this one gonna be stuck on the internet.
yeah, yes.
Man, this the last question
Okay.
for you to take us home with, Charles. Last one, man. We've been very appreciative of you. What advice do you have for a person with a family who is considering a career move into tech sales?
Um, Good question. And it's been great being here. So I appreciate you guys having me on. I would say it's a great it's a great switch. It's one of those jobs that gives you a lot of work life balance. It gives you a lot of freedom, because the harder you work, the more money you can make. But it's not one of those jobs where you're just beholden to like 80 hours a week just cuts. Just because it's tax season, you're just gonna be in there 80 hours just cuts, right? It's one of those jobs where if you figure out a process, you run that process well, you can make a lot of money and you can have a lot of flexibility. Meaning that
Mm,
you can figure out how to automate, how to have a routine in place, and you can make a ton of money doing that. So you can go like many other jobs aren't allowed. Maybe you have a job where you're working at the office. Well, most sales jobs, SDR, BDR, account executives, most of those jobs are remote. So you're already a step ahead of like, okay, maybe I'm in my home office, but I'm with my family, right?
mm,
I can go and take a 30-minute lunch and go take my kids to the store, or go take them to go get some lunch, or go hang out, go do a walk. That's already flexibility right there, which not every job has. I know more are happening like that. But that's just tech sales, and that's tech in general, to
yeah,
be honest.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think that's number one. So even if you do have a job that's like really time consuming, very like at your time, you're going to be at home at least, number one. But number two, you start doing your job well. Let's you could be working from 6 to 3. You already cut out that hour commute on the front end, and maybe that 3 hour commute at the back end of your job. You already got back 4 hours of your life with it,
wow,
right? So that's huge. Then, if you want to, which you already heard me at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I'm trying to get ahead of tomorrow. I'm trying to prospect like a LinkedIn comment, try to message this person at 9 o'clock. Because why? Because most of my busy decision makers I'm calling on to, they get on LinkedIn at 9 o'clock, just like most of
wow.
us. They're out here scrolling. And I'm like, all right, what's good? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm trying to get those people in there. So I think uh, if you're considering tech sales and you have a family, it's a great job. It offers a considerable work life balance. It offers more money that you can think of from most jobs. Now, I say this because my father-in-law is an expert at his job. He's a teacher. He's been teaching for 30 years. And in my fourth year of sales, I'm making more money than him. Not because I'm better than him. This dude's an expert. He's been doing it for 30 years. Like what
Mm,
he has forgotten, like I've still have yet to learn
mm,
in my current role. But tech sales has such a big potential for what you can earn, which is why I still low key salty about not starting at 18, right? Because it's
mm.
one of those things that build on. And once you get paid a certain base, you're like, I'm not going back to that other base because I've already hit this threshold. You just come up and up and up and up, right? And there's not that many jobs that really allow that to happen. It's really fixed in a lot of different jobs. You get a little bit incremental increase, but
Yeah,
sales gives you that. So if you're looking for that opportunity, to make more money than you ever had. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying this is a multi-level marketing pyramid scheme. I'm not saying any of that, but I'm saying that the capacity, the potential in sales to make money is there. The work life balance, because you get to be at home with your family, you get to interact with them more and more, is there in tech sales. I For me as a person, like I'm in Southern California, I promise you it is expensive, and I can provide for an entire family, which is one income in Southern California, and I get to hang out with my kids on a consistent basis. I'm out here coaching. I'm out here like I'm available for every parent event that's out there. Um, I'm available. Not to say that I'm not busy. I got stuff to do, but I figure out okay, this is the stuff I really want to be available for, and I schedule around it.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the hour I'm going to be really available for, and it's very rare that I can't make those things. Sometimes it does happen, but it's very rare. That is not a benefit that many careers have, and
Mm.
tech sales builds on itself. It builds on itself. So that's my elevator pitch. Hey, let's get in tech sales. Always happy to help. Like this is, as you guys see, this is something that I'm passionate about. This is something that I enjoy. If you wanted to chop it up, understand my process a little bit more, how I would even break down like how to look into tech sales and how I would even go about that, how we go into land in an interview, that basic aspect. Happy to break it down when you actually have a call with a gal this week that I met on JobSki that wants to just I imagine she wants to understand that to some capacity.
Wow. Understood. Well, Charles, man, can't thank you enough. Again, of course, Charles' LinkedIn information is going to be in the description, so you can go directly to him if you need further discussion. Charles, man, blessings to you and your family, brother.
Yeah. Appreciate it, man. God bless y'all, man. Hey, it was great to chat, man. And I really appreciate you having me on the show.
For sure. Tech family, until we meet again, see you on the next video.